Well, welcome back to Max Nate Horsemanship and Baby Steps. And, as usual, we're getting to the point where we're doing an awful lot of repetition, not a whole lot of new things. There's very few new things left to do. But, well, there's some with the other little horse that we haven't done yet. And I'll bring you in on those ones when we get to them. In the meantime, though, we're just going to be redoing an awful lot of things, both with this one and the other horse. But I think I will get to show you at least one new thing today, because we ran into a little problem with the other horse that had never been a problem before, but it was the other day. And unfortunately, I'd already packed up all my camera gear and put it away, and so I couldn't exactly just quickly turn it on and video it, although I would have liked to, because it was a very good example of something that, because up until now, things have been going relatively smooth, and you're not getting to see a whole lot of the real problems, the big problems that can occur. And, well, quite likely will with your horse. You're going to have something happening, because not all horses are the same. And that's one of the cool things about the fact I'm getting to work with that other one as well, is you're getting to see a horse of a completely different personality. She's much more sensitive, a little more reactive, things like that. She's pretty smart too, though, and she does catch on to things pretty quick. So I'm actually hoping today, when I go to show you what I want to show you, she hasn't already got it figured out, because it's possible. Because she was actually doing it fairly well until the other day. Now, this also goes back to something else I said about being prepared. If you anticipate there's going to be a problem, perfect example, this sweet little horse here, lately has taken the notion to being very difficult when it comes to leading in from the pasture. In the round pen, she leads beautifully. Can't get a whole lot better, actually. But out in the pasture, when I go to lead her away from the other horses, boy, she resists. Serious resistance, and it's actually getting worse. And so I think what I'm going to do is, I've said before, don't ask a horse to do anything that you can't follow through on. I think tomorrow I'm going to get smart. I'm going to take my lunge whoop with me, because that's one of the tools we use when we have leading problems. And without it, I can't really do much. The only thing I can do, I can't do much. I don't say I can't do anything, because if she starts to get heavy on the lead, I'm not slowing down for her. I'm going to just, the slower she goes, the harder I'm going to pull. That's all there is to it. And there were actually, there was one point at which I had to have my hand down on my hip holding the lead, so that I could actually pull hard enough without really straining my arm a lot, because, well, that's what I had to do. But that way she didn't learn that if she balks, I'm going to slow down for her or give her release or anything. No, that's not going to happen. Absolutely cannot happen. If you give it to the horse like that, the problems are just going to get worse. And in her case, they actually have been getting worse anyhow. So I'm thinking, since it's a recurring thing that has been happening, the next time I go out there, I'm taking the lunge whip with me, so that we can do something about it a little bit more effective than just pulling on the lead, which, well, that should have been enough, but in her case, apparently it's not. So, like I said, when problems occur, you got to be ready to deal with them, no matter what they are. And if you have a problem like that where it happens more than once, well, that was my bad today. I probably should have taken that lunge whip with me today, because this has happened before, and I should have suspected that it was going to happen. But when I go out into the pasture, I don't like carrying more stuff with me, especially if I'm not going to need it. So I didn't take it with me. So we couldn't do anything except pull harder on the lead. So little advice there is always be prepared. And, well, you notice I got my flag in my hand. I'm prepared, because I might need it. I probably won't, but I might need it to, encourage her to do something. So that's one of those things, okay? So I'm just going to go through some of the same things that we've been doing for the past while. I'll give you a quick update on the weather. You'll notice it's not so gray today. The smoke is not present today. It's actually decent out. It might be a tiny bit cooler, but it's not as windy either. So with a little more sun, a little less wind, even though it's a couple degrees cooler, it's actually still pretty nice out. And I'm not going to complain one little bit. The only downside of nice weather is more bugs. Oh well, we'll live with it. We got work to do here, and we're going to prioritize that. And if it means we have to put up with a few bugs, well, we'll put up with a few bugs. So I even brought the tarp out too, because it's not so windy today. So I'm hoping maybe I can make use of it a little bit today. As you know, the wind can be a bit of a problem when it comes to that. So hopefully today it's actually, well, the wind has picked up a tiny bit, but it's still pretty light. It's just a good breeze today. I think it might be adequate that we can do something. We'll see. We're going to give it a try anyhow. So, and you've seen that stuff before, so I'm not going to bore you with it. I haven't done it with the other horse yet, so I'm going to repeat it with that one. I'm going to repeat a lot of things with that horse that you've already seen with this one. And even though this series is getting pretty long now, we're not done. And, well, we would be almost done if we were just working with the one. But working with two now, we're redoing pretty much everything with that one we've done with this one. So you're probably going to get to see everything twice, but you're going to see it taking place slightly differently. And this is why I said, you know, no two horses are alike, and you don't necessarily have to do things exactly like I do. In fact, I discourage that. Modify things, tweak things a little, make them work for you and your horse. You know, I'm giving you the basic concepts and basic ideas, and you can take and run with that from there, because I can guarantee you, your horse is not going to be the same as either one of these ones, and even these two are quite different from one another, which is good, because you're getting to see some things that are different. And this little girl here, as cool as she is, we're finding things that bother her now, which is good. I'm actually glad that that has occurred, because, well, we can't fix what's not broke. And then the other one, well, completely different things bother her. So between the two of them, you're going to get a little bit of an idea. But I guarantee it again, your horse isn't going to be the same as either of these. It's going to be a little different. So you can just kind of figure it out from there. What you need to do ever so slightly differently to accommodate your horse and your abilities and your facilities. There's no two that are the same. So I'll be back in a minute when we go get the other one, and I'll show you something, because there is something I really want to show you today, and I sure hope I have a problem with it today. Yeah, because yesterday would have been such a good example, and I'm afraid we may have fixed it. Because it's one of those things that you're going to have a problem with, or one of many things, but I just want to show you how one thing can be done, and it's something that you've never seen me do, not to that extent, where I got a little firm with her, which is a little out of character. You're not going to see that a lot. I don't do it unless I have to, but in that case I had to. And we still were using bare hands and nothing but the lead and halter. So we weren't getting radically rough with the horse, but we did get firm. And I'll show you that when we come back with the other horse. In the meantime, just sit tight, take a minute to pause the video and go get yourself a coffee or a glass of water, or whatever you want. I don't care. Do your thing and enjoy the content, because hopefully there's going to be something here that's going to help you. Back in a minute. Just thought I'd throw a little reminder at you here. And I've talked many times about how you have to do things over and over and over, and how today's horse is not the same as yesterday's horse. And well, sometimes you might get things working really good, and the next time you go to try it, it's like it's never been done before. Well, that just happened to me today. And I want to use this, that's why I thought I'd mention it, because it's one of those things that you're probably going to run into, whether it's this or something different. Now, I said earlier I was going to work on the tarp again today, and well, that's what we wanted to do. And we thought we could progress to the tarp laying in the middle of the arena, or round pen, whatever you call this thing, and have her walk over it. Nope, she wasn't having none of that. She wouldn't even get near the thing. I actually had to start all over again. And I showed you that in a previous video, how we took the tarp, had it in a real narrow strip, and gradually slid it out further and further until we got it right against the edge of the round pen. She had no choice but go over it. And she was actually very reluctant to do that. And each time I opened it up, she got worried again. And we went as slow as I thought I could, and I even got her to stop halfway across, and did that several times before I made it bigger. Well, as you can see, it is now out quite a ways from the fence, and she will walk across it now. But we had to start right from the very beginning to get there. Now that was what we wanted in the first place. We wanted her to walk across the tarp. No big deal, sort of. Well, shouldn't have been, you'd think. You'd think you could pick up where you left off. You can't. Not always. Sometimes you can, but don't count on that happening. In this case, we had to start all over, right from beginning. We had to start with that tarp way out from the fence. She'd just go past it. We gradually moved it in so that she had to go over it. And then once we got her comfortable with going over it, we gradually made it wider. And once we had it full width and had her going over that, then we could progress to moving it out from the fence so that, as you can see, it's now in the middle of the arena. No, round pen, whatever this thing is. Jeez, I don't know, it's a fenced-in enclosure. Anyhow, there's nothing stopping her. You know, if she wanted to get worried and balk or jump it or whatever, all these things could happen, but none of them did eventually. I mean, she was a little concerned about it. She'd sniff at it and stuff as she was crossing it. She's still wary of it. She's not super comfortable with it, but she'll walk over it now. And it was a simple case of we had to start right from scratch again with that. Now, picking it up and holding it in front of her and rubbing her with it and stuff, I don't know how she's going to respond to that. We haven't done that a second time. We might have to start right over with that one too. Who knows? But for the most part, she's been very good about things, but this is something that she's got an issue with, one of a couple things. And like I said, we had to start right from the beginning again. So if you're working on something, whether it's leading, sending, going over the tarp, whatever, it doesn't matter what it is, if you have to start from scratch and do it all over again, then that's what you got to do. And, you know, don't get upset because one day it was working pretty decent and the next day it wouldn't work at all. Well, that's okay. Back up to where it can happen. Find a starting point and go from there. And if it means going right to the very, very beginning, well, if that's what you got to do, that's what you got to do. It's not a big deal. It happens. I don't care. And this is a reasonably good horse to work with. So it still happens with her. I have to start from the very beginning sometimes. So I just thought I'd share that with you. That's what we're doing. We're starting from the very beginning. And you might have to too. So I just thought I'd throw that one in at you, okay? Back in a minute with that other horse. Well, I thought I'd throw one more in here today because it's a first. Well, it's not a first that you've seen, but it's a first for her. And I didn't have the camera on when I was doing it because I didn't think I was going to do it. But we're working on something entirely different, having her going around and paying attention to me and responding to my cues and facing up. Stuff that we need to do many times over. And well, I had the tarp laying in here because I'd been using it for the other horse. And I thought, what the heck, we'll try it with this one. So with it quite narrow, I just kept spreading it out. And you know, at first she was going around, wasn't long, she was just going right over the thing. Made it wider, made it wider. Well, as you can see, it's open all the way now. And she'll go across it. At liberty, I don't even have a lead on her. And she'll do this for me. So even though she has less training in some respects than the other horse, actually in most respects, and she's at liberty, I don't have a lead on her, she's doing stuff in less time than the other horse did. Well, if I'm really lucky, maybe I can get her to do it for you. Then you can see. Good girl. She doesn't stop and face up like she's supposed to. I still have a problem with that. Sometimes she will, sometimes she won't. Depends on whether or not she's in the mood. And sometimes she'll try changing directions when you don't want her to. And I'm trying to be rather conscious today of what I'm doing so I don't accidentally cue her, because I know that's possible. I've done it with this particular horse. I've done it with other horses too. And it has been pointed out to me more than once. So let's see if we can get her to go the other way. She's stopped now. She's not facing into me, but that's okay. I'm going to kill two birds with one stone. I'm going to make her change direction because she's not doing what she's supposed to be doing. And we'll get her to go over it the other way, hopefully. time and patience. And but that also is an example of how different horses have extremely different temperaments, and how it was possible, even though I wasn't planning on working on this, but I had the tarp out here anyhow, and it's not terribly windy today, so in fact the wind has even gone back down again. It's just a very light breeze at the moment, so it's actually a very good day to be playing with the tarp. So I thought, what the heck, why not? And so I started doing it, and it worked so well that, yeah, well, you saw what we got, and you can get that too. Just take your time. You'll get there. Show you what we were doing yesterday. I think, maybe, I don't know. It has to do with leading a horse through the gate, which I've showed you before, but yesterday we ran into a problem with this one. And it was something that I thought, man, I sure wish I had the camera on for that. So I'm going to try and replicate it today, but I got a funny feeling it's not going to work too well, because I already sent her through the gate once and she did too good. So this might not work well. Because normally what I do when I'm done with a session is I just take the lead and halter off the horse and open up the gate and say, away you go, have fun, go be a horse, whatever that is. They won't tell me what that is. What does it mean to go be a horse? I don't know. I tell them to go do it and they do it, but they don't tell me what it is. I've been asking them for years. They won't tell me, but anyhow. Now normally, the other one and even this one, normally when I'd open the gate up and I'd send them out, they'd go out reasonably cool. But this particular one, she's a little more sensitive and a little more reactive. On top of that, she is extremely herd-bound to a gelding that's, well, over there in sight. He's a little too close, actually, so that might make a difference. Because I think part of the problem was that he was out of sight, and that got her concerned. And because when she took off, eventually, she went running to go be with the other horses. The fact that she can actually see them today might make a difference. I think it will. Pretty sure it will. I'll tell you why I'm doing this. Okay, normally she'd walk out the gate, not bad, but the last few times I sent her out, she went blasting out like her butt was on fire. Not good. You don't want a horse doing that, because if, for example, another person was approaching the gate, at the same time you happen to send the horse out and the horse goes flying up, you might run them over and somebody's going to get hurt. I don't want that. I want a horse that's going to leave nicely, nice and calm, and just stroll out like the little paint just did when I let her out. This one didn't do that yesterday, and so this is why we've still got the lead and halter on her, because we're going to address it. Well, actually today we might not have to, but that's what we did. I kind of suspected it was going to happen because it happened the time before that, so I thought, you know, it's probably going to happen again, and so I was prepared. And I put the lead and halter on her and opened up the gate, just like this. Stay. The only thing I don't like about this one, just the way it's set up, gate doesn't like to stay there. But already I can tell we're not going to have a huge problem today, because notice the gate's wide open and she's not trying to leave. Well, let's see what happens anyhow. Out you go. Okay, it's working way too well. That's what we want. We want her to walk out nice and calmly like that. I'm going to send her back in because maybe that's not going to be as good. Let's see what happens. And no, she comes back in real nice too. Darn. I can't show you what I did. I think I've already fixed her. That's not good. Well, I'm going to explain what I did. I left the lead and halter on, and then I asked her to leave like I normally do. Said, out you go. And when she went to leave, she bolted out the gate. And I held on firmly to the lead, and when she hit the end of it, it was bang. All of a sudden, she runs into the halter. And after a couple of times of that, she very quickly figured out that running out wasn't a good idea, because when you do, you run into the halter. Now, this is one of the few times where I'm a little rough with a horse, or it appears that way. By the way I do things, it's rough. I'll I'll say I was just being firm. I wasn't hurting her, and I was in bare hands just like right now. You know, so I mean, if we'd gotten rough, I would have got rope burn, and I didn't, so it wasn't too bad. But I just basically let her go blasting out the door, and I just, about the time she's about to hit the end of the lead, I give it a tiny bit extra jerk too, so that when she hit the end of that lead, and she got a good jerk on the nose. Pretty firm one. Now, not enough to hurt her. As you can see, she's perfectly fine health, and that was just yesterday that happened. And but that's what we did. And we repeated that several times. And each time she went out the gate a little bit slower, and when she walked out really nice like I wanted her to, I didn't do anything. Well, I didn't need to. Well, because I kind of did what I just now, where I'd send her out. There you go, dear. Yeah, you can go. Out you go. And she walked out just like that. Now I'm still holding on to lead, so when she gets to the end of it, you know, there's a little feel there where she actually can tell that's what she's done. She's gotten to the end of it. Sorry, dear, pay attention to me, not the salt block. And, well, you see I'm tugging on the lead there. That's the kind of thing I will occasionally do. I will occasionally bump the lead just to get their attention. There we go. Now she's looking at me nicely. Now I'm going to send her back in again. All right. And there we go. There we go. Nice and soft and smooth. And that's what you want. Now, it doesn't always work that way. And, you know, previously it had. But I'll throw one more thing in along with that one, and I'm really sorry I didn't get to show you better. But apparently we've already fixed our problem. But, you know, again, going back, sometimes you got, you know, that'll be fine, and then all of a sudden you got to fix something, and yeah, well, don't get excited. It happens. And it also tells me something, though, because one of the things that I've always said, you know, and I demonstrated before when I showed the horse walking out calmly, I says, that tells you that I'm not stressing it too much in the round pen. And so that was a little concern to me, is that when she wanted to get out of here in a hurry, was maybe I'm doing things wrong. Maybe. You know, I'm not perfect. I mess up once in a while. Actually, I mess up lots. And maybe I was just pushing her a little too hard. Maybe that was what was happening. Or maybe it was because she can't see those horses. And today she can, so today she's much better. I'm not sure exactly, but there is a, you know, like I say, never mind the what, figure out the why, but in this case, we wanted to fix the what short term. We didn't want her rushing out the gate and endangering somebody that might be near the gate, or even another horse. So we had to address that, but we still have to figure out the why, which was, is it because she's herd bound and she couldn't see that horse? Is it because I'm stressing her too much? Or is it she's just a little bit of a jerk? I don't know which. But anyhow, that was going to be our demo for the day, which unfortunately didn't work out too well. Sorry about that. I was hoping we could do better, but that just gives you an idea of how fast you can make progress. And oh, by the way, the big gray gelding, I opened the gate and he decided he wanted to come in. So it's like, well, you want to come in here too? Well, I'm going to put you to work. So I immediately threw a lead around his neck, walked him over the tarp. And when he got to the tarp, he says, uh-uh. And he stood there for a while looking at that thing, didn't freak out or anything, and eventually he did walk over it. But he wasn't super happy about that thing, so I thought that was interesting. And not one of my horses or anything, or a horse I'm specifically working with, although I was told I can ride him anytime I want. He just broke the ride. Personally, from what I've seen in his behavior, I'm not sure if I want to ride him, because my standards are pretty high. I need a pretty good horse, or I desire. I like a relaxed ride. I like to enjoy myself. I don't want to be all stressed out wondering when the horse is going to have a meltdown, you know, or wrestling with the horse trying to keep it under control. We don't want those kind of things. And he occasionally doesn't like being told what to do. And I've already discovered that in a few circumstances. And that would tell me maybe I don't want to ride him. He has been ridden. The girl that owns him rides him. Unfortunately, I believe she's expecting again in a delicate way that says, no, you can't ride a horse. Unfortunately, that horse has an interesting history from what we know about him. And, well, anyhow, long story short, I do have permission to ride him, but at the moment, I don't think I'm going to. He has been ridden. We know he's broke a ride. In most cases, he kind of sort of listens, but not as well as I would like. So I don't think I would want to actually ride that horse. I'm not even crazy about my own horse. Well, she's an exception. She's a little strange, but anyhow, I guess today's video is going to be a little short because I don't have a whole lot to show you today, except to tell you, same things I've already told you. Sometimes you got to redo things. Sometimes you got to stop and fix problems. That wasn't one that I was even considering at the time, but I recalled just as I was about to let her out. I remembered the day before when I let her out, she took off with a blast. And I thought, you know what? I better be prepared for that. So I put the lead halter on, and sure enough, she did. And after running into the halter a couple of times, she didn't do that anymore. Now she quietly walks out the gate like I would like her to. So anyhow, I hope it wasn't much, but I hope it did you some good, and I hope you learned a little bit from it. And things don't always go as planned. Sometimes you got to start over. Lots of times you have to repeat things. Always, actually. And sometimes you got to change your plans and deal with something else that you weren't planning on being part of the program that particular day. But it's best if you don't have a schedule, program, agenda, whatever. Just go with the flow and do what needs to be done. That's the best thing to do. So hope this helped you. Hope you enjoyed it. Share it with your friends, and we'll catch you on the next one. In the meantime, bye.